If you are new to Hammer of the Week, I'm very sorry on how much cheddar you've missed out on, but I'm happy that you're about to make some this weekend. If you're not new to Hammer of the Week, you're welcome. This show has been killing it week after week, and I am back again with one fight, one wager, and maximum confidence to boost your bankroll. If you want a bet that actually hits, this is the one. Welcome to Lucrative Hammer of the Week.
He is killing Edson Barbosa. How is this fight not stopped? And we cashed it yet again. The under 1.5 rounds just cashed. And Jalen Turner in round 1. This could be the biggest night of my life, man. This is crazy, boys. I'm saying this every week.
Welcome back to Hammer of the Week, boys, where I tell you the best betting spot on the entire fight card. This weekend, the UFC returned to good old tried and trusted Las Vegas, Nevada, where we have Kape taking on Brandon Royval in a very important flyweight matchup, especially considering what happened in the flyweight title fight and the ex-champion Pantoja now looking to be out of the octagon for a long time. We could be looking at the next challenger for the title after Van faces Tyra in Kape or Brandon Royval. So very excited for that one. We also have Giga Jakarts taking on Kevin Vallejos in a very exciting featherweight matchup. The UFC have quietly signed Yaroslav Amosov, who is making his UFC debut taking on Neil Magny. And if he comes through that test, we could have a new player in the welterweight division. So this is a pretty exciting card in my eyes, boys. It is the final UFC card of the year. So you know I have put the relevant work in to not only cash myself, but also put a nice fat bankroll stack in your pocket with this video, Hammer of the Week, which I do every single week on this very YouTube channel. Speaking of this very YouTube channel, boys, we're only 1,200 subscribers away from a massive 20,000 subscriber milestone. So please, if you could help us reach that milestone, I would very much appreciate it. All you need to do is go and click subscribe. It's a free click. Just click for free and it will help me hit that 20K milestone. If we do hit that 20K milestone this year, I am going to do a giveaway in my video that I'm going to put out in 1 week's time, which is the Lucrative MMA Award Show for 2025. I'm going to go through many different awards and give them out. The best fighter of the year, the best knockout of the year, the best bet of the year, the worst bet of the year, etc., etc. So as well as an award, I'll also give out a huge giveaway to multiple subscribers. So if you could click subscribe, I would appreciate it. So if you don't know what Hammer of the Week is, it's a weekly YouTube video I put out where I basically go through the fight card and I give you the best bet or my most confident bet or the bet I believe holds the most value or just a bet that I feel like giving out for the upcoming UFC card. We have been killing it week after week. Last week, we hit Jalen Turner as our Hammer of the Week, and it looked very easy. He looked like a massive favorite in that spot, and I was happy to cash the Hammer of the Week play in round 1. Not only did we cash the Hammer of the Week play, we also cashed some big, juicy props. Every single week on my show, we do a section called Ladder the Hammer. And last week's Ladder the Hammer section included Jalen Turner inside the distance on the first rung of our ladder. And then on the final rung, Jalen Turner in round 1 at some nice plus money. So once again, boys, we cashed all 3 Hammer of the Week plays. We've been doing it almost every single week, which is honestly unbelievable. As I said last week, the run can't keep up forever, but hopefully it keeps up for this week and the final card of the year. Little disclaimer, not to rely on the Hammer of the Week. For example, yes, I did give out Jalen Turner as the Hammer of the Week last week. But if you would have relied on that bet only, yes, you would have cashed Jalen Turner, but you wouldn't have cashed any of my other bets that I sent out to my Elite Zone, which is my private MMA betting community. Now, in the Elite Zone, we cashed on Peter Yan at odds of plus 400. I gave that out as a bet. We put 2 units on it, and we cashed 8 units of profit. Me and everybody in the Elite Zone cashed massive on that one, and it was such a beautiful end to a great pay-per-view where we hit loads of other bets as well, not just Jalen Turner. So like I said, boys, if you want all of my bets for the final card of the year, you can sign up for just this card, just 1 week, by going down below, clicking the link in my bio, or going to sublaunch.com/lucrativemma, and it will give you the weekly option where you can get all of my bets, all of my predictions, not just a hammer for this week's fight card. I don't know if we're going to hit a bet as good as Peter Yan, but you know I'm going to try, and I very much like the look of this card. So boys, without further ado, I'm going to drop the hammer on you right now. I'm going to give you guys a gift one more time before the end of the year, like the betting Santa that I have been all year. And ironically, we're actually in the month of giving right now in December. It is Christmas time. It's frosty and snowy out where I am in London right now. And I am putting my Santa Claus gear on to come and give you one final hammer and sweeten up that bankroll that I know you're going to need before the Christmas time spending. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Let's see what this hammer is.
Now, what do you want for Christmas, little Timmy?
I want to cash another fat bag for Lucrative Ladder the Hammer this week.
But you're not old enough to gamble, Timmy.
Oh, guess not.
But you best believe I'm going to be tailing that hammer bet this week. I don't know how you do it, James.
Thanks, Santa. You're the man.
Want to ride in my sleigh?
Hell yeah.
Merry Hammer Christmas to all you degenerate gamblers around the world.
There it is, lads. It is Kevin Vallejos at odds of -240 for the Lucrative Hammer of the Week this week. We are riding El Chino, one of the youngest fighters in the UFC, and I believe he is going to hammer Giga Jakatsi this weekend, and I believe he is going to help us cash our hammer in Kevin Vallejos moneyline. I think odds of -240 are very, very generous. I think the bookies are giving us something pretty fucking juicy to work with, if you ask me. I was expecting Kevin Vallejos to be odds of -340. You know, I mean, not expecting, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he was -340, but no. They're giving us a nice -240 line to work with, and I am hammering that all day, boys, and I'm going to tell you exactly why, right? Because it's very important to know the rationale behind the pick, and it's very important to know anybody that you are listening to on YouTube, on Instagram, or on Twitter is doing their due diligence before they give you any financial advice, because at the end of the day, boys, we're talking betting right now. To some degree, it's financial advice. Now, this is not financial advice. Disclaimer, you know that disclaimer here. I am just an MMA sports bettor telling you my opinions, but let's be real, man. A lot of people out here are talking all these predictions and they don't even do the tape study. They don't even put the work in themselves. But I'm not one of those guys, and I'm going to show you why right now, or I'm going to prove that I'm not one of those guys. So I've gone back extensively and looked at the career of Kevin Vallejos and Giga Jakatsi. It's taken me many hours, as it does for any fight I break down for the most part, to go back and look at these fighters' careers and decide who is going to win when they step on the octagon this weekend. And something that stands out to me, first of all, boys, is that Giga Jakatsi is reaching uncle status. In fact, he has reached uncle status about 5 years ago. Giga Jakatsi is now 37 years of age. And as I mentioned earlier, Kevin Vallejos, one of the youngest fighters in the UFC, he is 23 years of age. Boys, we have a 14-year age advantage, in my opinion, for Kevin Vallejos. This is a difference of 14 years. The athleticism, the speed, the energy systems, the tenacity, the hunger, the will to win, the spirit, all of these things are going to be heavily, heavily in the favor of the 23-year-old over the 37-year-old. And we're not even talking stylistics yet. We're not even talking who the better striker is, the better grappler is, the better cardio, etc., etc. We are literally just talking how age affects you in the octagon and how such a big age difference may affect these guys when they fight this weekend. And I sincerely believe that the age is a big advantage for Kevin Vallejos, and I think that you will see that after the fight, and I think I will be proved right in saying that. Not only that, but Giga Jakatsi is old in the sport of fighting anyway. He has kickboxing roots. He's been fighting for millennia. He made his debut in the UFC in 2019. He fought in Glory, the kickboxing organization, for years. He has fights on his record dating back all the way to 2009. Kevin Vallejos' opponent was 8 years old when Giga Jakatsi was fighting in the Muay Thai and kickboxing scene. 8 years old. Now, I think that this point is proven even more when you go back and look at his last fight against David Onama, in a fight where he came in overweight in that fight. Right? For the first time in his UFC career, he missed weight. Now, what does that tell me? That tells me a couple of things. But overall, it tells me that Giga's getting old, that age is catching up to him, and it's a negative. It's a clear negative that he misses weight for the first time in his entire career in his very last fight at 37 years of age, right? Now, let's speak about the stylistics a little bit, because at the end of the day, boys, it doesn't matter about the outside of the octagon stuff if you're just not on the level of fighter that you need to beat your opponent. You know what I mean? Like Giga Chikadze, he could be way older than a random dude on the street who's 21, who's in their prime, who's athletic maybe, but Giga's going to fuck him up if he ain't got the skills. Kevin does have the skills, but let's touch on Giga's skills. Giga's very skillful. Giga's a skillful kickboxer, and I give him his credit, his credence. He's a good, skillful kickboxer, very good body kicks, good management of range, pretty good boxing as well, fast hands. But at the end of the day, I think we've seen a clear decline in his game over the last couple of years. I don't think he's getting any better. I, in fact, think he's clearly getting worse. And as I did last week, and as I told you last week, betting on Bruno Ferreira against Marvin Vettori, it's very important to understand when these fighters are going on declines before the market, the rest of the betting people, understand that. And a huge way to make money in MMA is betting against these aging fighters when you have seen clear declines. Now, if you haven't seen a clear decline, you don't do it. For example, just the opposite, I bet on Jan Blachowicz against Bogdan Guskov. He clearly won round 1 and round 3. It was a draw, whatever. It wasn't a bad bet at all, right? But that's because I hadn't seen a decline on the side of Jan Blachowicz yet, and I think he proved that right against Bogdan. I had seen a decline on Vettori. That's why I bet on Bruno Ferreira. I have seen a decline on Giga Chikadze here. That's why I'm betting on Kevin Vallejos, or at least one of the reasons. But it's not the only reason. If you look at Kevin Vallejos, this guy is an animal. He's an animal. He's a very good fighter, very good boxing, and that is the best attribute, to be honest. The eyes in the pocket are good. I think a lot of people are going to see him get some brutal knockouts in the UFC, and they might not give him the credit he deserves for how skillful he is in the striking. I mean, his counter striking is something to be very proud of. You know, his body work is very, very high level, and I really love the way he counters in the pocket. I mean, if you go back and look at that Danny Silva fight, Danny was in his face, pressing the action for a lot of it, and he wasn't deterred by that. You know, he stood his ground. He didn't fight recklessly. He didn't brawl. He was very defensively responsible, but he landed the shots that mattered in that fight. He may have got out volumed. I haven't looked at the numbers, but he landed the shots that mattered. Very, very good body shot to head combos, almost eerily similar to a young Mike Tyson to some degree. Now, maybe not at the ferocity, maybe not at the strength or power. You're talking about a heavyweight versus a featherweight here. Let's be real. Just, you know, optically, visually, you know, the way he ripped from the body to the head and placed his shots with perfect precision, it showed me a striker who is growing from fight to fight. It showed me someone with a very good striking IQ, and it showed me someone who was very patient, very calm in the pocket specifically, and someone who was able to find their shot, someone with very good eyes. And you can't teach that. You know, I feel like you're almost either born with the ability to counter cleanly or not. Of course you can get better, but I really do think there's a genetic aspect to fighting in general, but even with skill sets. You know, some people are just very, very good at managing range, and they're kind of just born better than somebody else. And obviously Kevin has worked very hard at it his career, but I'm paying him an extra compliment by saying not only has he worked hard, but he also has that inside of him. It's almost meant to be. You know, it's just like he's very good at judging range, man. He's very good at landing his shots, just getting out of the distance and then landing a beautiful combo. And I think that in 2025, Giga Chikadze is not on that level anymore. I think Giga Chikadze's reaction timing is dropping down. I'm seeing him caught with shots that maybe he wouldn't be caught with 5 years ago. And I honestly see Kevin putting it on him with his boxing in this fight. Not only that, but a big reason I'm betting on Kevin here, and he's my hammer of the week, is because of the wrestling aspect. I'm going to touch on the wrestling aspect before we're going to get onto the favorite part of the show, which is Ladder the Hammer, where I give you some big juicy props that you can hopefully hit this weekend, as well as our main hammer moneyline play on Kevin Vallejos. So Vallejos has huge grappling upside in this match. And what I mean by that, if anyone's getting takedowns, if anyone's getting a submission, it's going to be Kevin. You know, we have seen Kevin go from strength to strength in his career, and we would expect to see that. We would expect to see him making big improvements because he's very young, 23 years old. These guys make improvements like you couldn't even imagine. Look at Peyton Talbot, for example. Dominated by Barcelos in the grappling, dominates Henry Cejudo in the grappling. Everyone's going to say Henry's washed. I'm going to say that Peyton is making extreme improvements because of his talent, but also because he's in his mid-20s, he's going to make those improvements. Now, if you go back and look at the last fight against Danny Silva, and I was lucky enough to watch that live with my man Czar, and we actually bet on Kevin Vallejos to win via decision. We also bet on Kevin Vallejos over 2.5 rounds, and the reason we did that is because we thought Kevin was going to win, but we knew that Danny Silva had one of the best chins in the game that the market didn't really know about. They was giving us plus money on the over there. They was giving us big plus money on Kevin Vallejos' decision prop there. But because of my due diligence, I noticed that Danny Silva has one of the best chins in the game, and he's probably going to turn into the new Max Holloway in terms of durability at the featherweight division. So although Kevin landed some big shots there, it was always going to be very tough to get him out of there. And I think we saw massive improvements to Kevin's game. I think we saw him get tired in that fight and push through the cardio. He's going to get tired in most fights. It's a fight at the end of the day, right? It's a high volume fight, especially against Danny Silva, who pushes a high pace. But I feel like he pushed through fatigue very well there, won every round, in my opinion. And one thing I wanted to mention is that he got multiple takedowns in that fight. Now, he wasn't able to control Danny Silva. Danny Silva is very hard to control. We know that throughout his entire career. And to be honest, Danny Silva is usually the one that's shooting the takedowns and controlling himself. So for Kevin to flip the script on him, defend all the takedowns except for one at the end of round one, that Danny didn't do any damage with, and get his own takedowns and basically win the grappling over 15 minutes, that was extremely impressive to me. That was extremely impressive. To some degree, a lot of people thought that Kevin Vallejos was a striker in that matchup and Danny Silva had the grappling upside. No, Kevin had the grappling upside, but he didn't even need to use it because of how good his counterboxing was in the pocket. He's very calm, as I said, very patient, but I did like to see those takedowns there. And despite him not getting any control time, I do think that we will see him to get some control time in the UFC as his fight career progresses, if need be. A lot of times need won't be, because he's just going to knock these motherfuckers out on the feet. But if he needs to go to his wrestling, he can. In this fight, I'm not going to say he needs to. I'm going to say he definitely can. I think taking down Giga Chikadze will be a very smart thing for Kevin Vallejos to do this week. The reason I believe that is because I think Giga gets very tired when he's grappled. Go back and look at any fight. Jamal Emma's round 3. He gets very tired in that fight, in that round, because he's getting grappled. Go back and look at the Calvin Kattar fight. He gets very, very tired after just one round of grappling, so much so that he almost gets knocked out in that fight, and it's a minor miracle he didn't get knocked out. Go back and look at his last fight against David Onama, and while I won't speak through every sequence in every fight, I just mentioned 3 fights off the top where you can see visual tiredness in the face of Giga Chikadze because of the grappling. So I think it would be very smart for Kevin to mix in the grappling from time to time. One, I think he can control Giga Chikadze much better than he could control Danny Silva. And 2, I think it's going to open up his striking on the feet because Giga's going to be worried about the takedown. And 3, I think it's going to get Giga tired. And that might be the most important point of them all. I think it's going to get Giga tired because if you've got a tired Giga, who usually gasses out in round 3 anyway when there's no grappling, for the most part, not all the time. We see Edson Barbosa fight, he got the knockout in round 3, etc. But a lot of time he does get tired from grappling. So if he's getting tired, boys, it's going to open up Kevin Vallejos' not only submission attempts, but also his striking on the feet. So I think he's a lot more likely to get a finish here if he does mix in the grappling from time to time for a multitude of reasons. And I really believe he has the skill set to do that. Go back and look at his fight against Gabriel Vargas a very, very long time ago in Samurai Fight House. Shout out Samurai Fight House. Shout out to my man Martin. Go back and look at that fight. He got a rear naked choke where he just bitched that dude. I'm not going to lie. I mean, he took a rear naked choke from a standing position, right? And the guy tapped out shortly after. He bitched him there. That was a very, very young Kevin Vallejos. You're talking a 19/20-year-old, talking to basically a teenager, right? And you see the physicality on display there, and you see the quickness to jump on the rear naked choke. You go back and look at the Maximiliano Perez fight. This was the fight after his Dana White's Contender Series fight against Gene Silva, an absolute banger, by the way. And he grapple fucks Perez whenever he wants to in that fight. He takes him down, takes his back, mounts him, rides from position to position, body slams him, almost chokes him out in round 1, ends up choking him out in round 3. Let me tell you something now. Kevin Vallejos has good grappling, good wrestling, very physical, athletic wrestling, and he can most certainly take down Giga Chikadze here. If you go back and look at all the fights I referenced from Giga, it's not hard to see that Kevin Vallejos has a big grappling path in this fight if he chooses to take it. He doesn't need to. He can still hurt him on the feet, win on the feet, in my opinion. I just think it would be a smarter and overall better game plan to mix in some of the grappling here and there. So boys, that's my hammer of the week this week, right? We're going to move on to my favorite section where I give you big props in a second. But first of all, I want you to comment down below your hammer of the week. And in my award show, next week's show, I am going to shout out the best hammer of the week. So comment down below what you think your hammer of the week is this week. Who are you liking? Who are you fancying? And I'm going to shout out the best ones next week. So boys, let's take a look at last week's comment section and see who hit some really good hammers. So we got Elijah Cuevas saying, Ewo, hammer of the week. Ewo, round 1, hammer of the week. So congratulations to you. One of the craziest fights I've ever seen in MMA history. I was also on Ewo moneyline and the under 1.5 round. So it was an absolute electric cash. Congratulations on that hammer. I bet your heart stopped about 5 times, just as mine did, if you bet him. My man MMA Jesus saying Ewo KO as well. Congratulations. A lot of people saying that, you know, they're not touching Jalen Turner. He's a liability. You could never trust Jalen Turner, stuff like that. Look, boys, I understand the sentiment to some degree, but don't know if you watched the video, but, you know, I went in depth on why you can trust Jalen Turner in this specific matchup, because it's all matchup based. At the end of the day, if Jalen Turner fights a bin man, you would trust him, right? And while Edson Barbosa wasn't a bin man, Edson Barbosa was extremely weathered and there was clear signs of decline, just like Giga Chikadze. And it's funny because they fought each other and they're very similar fighters, kickboxers. And you have to understand that everything's matchup based in MMA, and you always, or a very good way to make money in MMA is fading these older guys who are getting hurt a lot more often and just looking a little bit declined. So I understand not trusting Jalen, but last week was the week to trust him, boys, and the hammer of the week proved that. We got Yuan51 saying Peyton Talbot KO in round 2 is the hammer. Bro, so unlucky. I thought Henry was dead. One of the toughest guys ever. Shout out to Henry Cejudo. I don't know how he survived that fight. Very unlucky hammer. Lots and lots of Brandon Moreno hammers, but I did see a Tyra hammer. Sellout 4566. Congratulations to you. You called Tyra moneyline and the submission in round 2. He didn't get a submission in round 2. It was a TKO. I thought it was a terrible stoppage, but it is what it is. That was a great hammer of the week. Tyra still had him in a very dangerous position. He was clearly on his way to winning that round regardless. You cashed, bro. You didn't cash a submission, but TKO could have been a submission on another day. Congratulations. MMA is pretty cool. Chose Manuel Torres in round 1 at plus 350. Man, Manuel Torres in round 1 is almost an auto bet now anytime this guy fights. So congratulations to you. I didn't realize it was such a big price. That's an epic price, bro. Well done for your hit. That was easy. Lots of Merab picks as well. Merab via decision. I understand that, right? I understand, right? Why not? Merab via decision seemed like a lock every time this guy fights. I got a lot of hate for my Peter Yan pick. You know, probably the most hate that I've ever got for a bet before. And I just want to take this time to say I apologize to absolutely nobody for acting cocky when I cashed Peter Yan plus 400 for me and everybody in the elite zone. Suck on that, haters. At the end of the day, boys, 99.999999999% of comments and DMs I get is pure love. So I love you back, and I'm trying every single week to put money in your pocket. But boys, if you can't have a bit of fun in life and have a bit of fun with the game, what's the point in doing it? And by the way, boys, not all of these comments, right? Some of these comments, they're just saying pick Merab, it is what it is, right? But some of these motherfuckers are calling me a clown, an idiot, for picking Peter Yan at plus 400. Boys, this is sports betting, yeah? I know you guys love MMA, but I'm a sports bettor. There's a big difference, boys. So get with the program. Peter Yan, 5-0. Merab didn't win a round. Whitewash. Let's fucking cash that one, boys. Cash that one for the elite zone. Let's go. And boys, we're about to get into my favorite part of the evening. My favorite section where I give you a bunch of props that you can ladder the hammer with in our section, Ladder the Hammer. So let's go, boys. First, you have to understand, I've told you this, right? But my hammer of the week is only one bet. Don't rely on the hammer. Don't rely on the ladder, the hammer, the plays, because you're going to miss out on all other massive plays like Peter Yan and a bunch of other plays we hit. Go down below, click the link in my bio, sublaunch.com/lucrativemma. You can join the Elite Zone for just 1 week if you want the final card of the year. But don't forget, boys, there's 2 more PFL cards for the rest of the year. So we're also going to have bets on the PFL card. So you can choose to stay for longer than a week if you want and get all of my PFL bets and my regional scene. But if you want just a week, you can do that. Choose the Elite Weekly membership and you'll get access for all of my bets this week. And I've got massive bets. I might even have a max bet. I haven't decided yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a max bet this weekend, boys. My max bet record is through the roof. It basically never misses. A 90% hit rate. It's not fake. It's not fraud. It's legitimately a 90% hit rate. And we're going to improve on that this weekend. So without further ado though, boys, let's get into the section, Ladder the Hammer. All right, boys, I'm not going to lie. This is a tough one. So if you didn't know, Giga Jakaarts has never been finished in professional MMA. Never been finished, boys. This guy's never been finished. So surely the Ladder the Hammer to play this week's going to be Kevin Vallejos via decision, right? Surely. But then I've looked at the props, boys, and I saw that the over 2.5 rounds is chalked up at -155, which means that the most likely outcome, according to the bookies, is Kevin Vallejos via decision. Well, you know me, boys. I don't mind going to war with the bookies. So we're going to look for a different prop, boys. We ain't playing it safe and going Kevin Vallejos decision. The first rung of our ladder in our section, Ladder the Hammer, is going to be Kevin Vallejos inside the distance. They're giving us nice plus money for this one, and I am taking it to the bank all day. As I told you, Kevin Vallejos, one of the best counter boxers in the entire division at only 23. I also told you he has a massive athleticism advantage, a massive power, raw speed advantage, and a will to win, and a durability advantage, which is kind of crazy, but I really believe so, and a 14-year age advantage. These things alone could mean that he lands a seminal blow, a knockout blow with his boxing, his beautiful boxing, much better boxer than Giga Jakaarts in my opinion. Not a better kicker, but a better boxer. And if he lands the boxing combos that I know he can, I mean, Giga's gonna get knocked out, man. I mean, I have no doubt about it. He definitely can get knocked out if he's able to land this blow, right? I know Giga's never been knocked out, but I've seen him rocked, I've seen him hurt. It's a minor miracle Calvin Kattar didn't finish him. So why can't my boy Kevin Vallejos do it this weekend? I believe he can, right? On top of that, the inside the distance is not only the knockout, boys. The inside the distance covers something else as well, which is the submission. And if you've been watching this from start to finish, you will have already seen Kevin Vallejos wrap up multiple submissions. You would have heard me talk through those submissions. You would have heard me talk through the grappling and wrestling upside that Kevin Vallejos has. And the submission is going to be live here. The submission is truly going to be live because I believe that Giga Jakaarts is a level below when it comes to the grappling. I mean, this guy is a kickboxer out and out, man. I don't think he's that good on the ground. He's all right at surviving, but the submission is still live, right? So that's the first rung of our ladder, Kevin Vallejos inside the distance. Now, there's not much more we can, I mean, there is quite a few different ways we can go. We can choose round 1 for the third rung of our ladder, like we did last week with Jalen Turner. We added round 1 and inside the distance, but I'm not going to go round 1. First of all, round 1's very tough because I think Giga Jakaarts' speed will still be there in round 1. I think the speed will start to drop with his age, you know, with the weight cut, etc., etc. I think the speed will start to drop. But I could see the finish coming in round 2 or round 3. So that is where I'm going to go for the third rung of the ladder, boys. I'm going to go Kevin Vallejos wins in round 2 or round 3 for the third rung of our ladder. Now, a lot of bookies will allow you to just play the round 2/round 3 in one singular bet. If your bookie doesn't allow you to do that, then you can split your stake and put half of it on the round 2 prop and half of it on the round 3 prop. That way, you're still covering round 2 or round 3 in essentially one bet. So that's it, boys. We got Kevin Vallejos money line as our main hammer of the week play. We're laddering it with Kevin Vallejos inside the distance. And for the final rung of our ladder, we're going Vallejos round 2 or round 3 to bring us home all of the bacon. Now, buyer beware, viewer beware. Kevin Vallejos is our main money line play. And we always need to structure it to where if he wins, we still profit. Don't go add in so much money on round 2 and round 3 and only a tiny bit on the money line, because that's a recipe for disaster. Yes, we've been hitting every rung of the ladder recently. It's like we can't miss, but it's not always going to happen. We structure it so if Kevin Vallejos wins, that's a winning week. That's profitable week. The round 2, round 3, the inside the distance, these are bonus plays. But that's it, boys. That is the last and final lucrative Hammer of the Week for 2025. I'll see you in next week's episode on YouTube. Outside of that, let's cash another hammer. Peace.